Welcome to the latest episode of the Celtic Exchange Weekly. This is Tino. This week I'm joined by James as we once again cover all things Celtic. James, welcome back to the weekly show from your holidays. An enjoyable weekend of football all round. What did you make of it all?
Enjoyable's the word, yeah. A fantastic day of football. Great challenge from St Mirren, I have to say. It was a great game. You know, we're not neutrals, but for a neutral watching on, that must have been a phenomenal watch. I thought the football was good. I thought St Mirren were organised and resolute and physical, and that's fair enough. But then obviously Yang comes on and does his thing, so yeah.
Do you think the Saturday nightness of it all added to the occasion?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few of those over the last maybe 12, 18 months. They certainly make it a bit of a buzz of a game. Whether that's, 5 or 6 hours drinking time prior that adds to it, not for the players but for the fans. Yeah, there's a bit of an atmosphere to it, like a good positive atmosphere, so I enjoyed it.
In terms of St Mirren and what they brought to the party, I suppose ultimately they come away with nothing. But maybe that's... I wonder if you spoke to any St Mirren fans after the game or on Sunday there, they'd say, it was disappointing, but we were in the mix, right up to fairly late in the game. You were, Maeda's only made it 4-2 in the 88th minute. So you're still there and you've had a proper go and you've entertained your fans. And I would debate that most fans of all other clubs, with Celtic and whatever, would probably far rather see their side do that than park the old bus, would they?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything's relative in that regard. If you look at how we felt after Bayern Munich, we learned a lot, we progressed, we'd gone toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the world, and the relativity of that for St Mirren is if they can push Celtic and, breaking the ball, if they've got that penalty, which I'm sure we'll come on to, then that could have made it a tighter game, all of these things, so 100% you've got to, look at that as a positive versus parking the bus. And the big thing for it is, if they raise the line to that level where they're pushing us so far, then they should be able to take care of everyone else around them as well. So I suppose I wonder how long Stevie Robinson's for that job, because I've always liked him as a coach. Who knows where he could end up, but I think he's a really talented coach and he knows what he's doing, sets his teams up well. But he's positive as well. Whilst being robust and physical, he's looking to play football and score goals. So who knows where he can go, but great for St Mirren to have him.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a snobbery, from a Rangers, for example, to say, he's just a St Mirren coach in our league. He's far better than what they've brought in recent times. I think he had a spell down south at Morecambe, if I've got that right, and I don't know if it didn't quite work out before he came back up here, but talented guy. He certainly knows the lie of the land here and seems to be doing a good job for St Mirren. You mentioned the youngster, and if you think I'm going to skip that, you've got another thing coming, but we will revisit it. We've got a couple of things to catch, but youngster absolutely doing his thing on Saturday night. Just in terms of the bigger picture, James, we are now just 3 wins from the title. We are 16 points clear. The next league game is Rangers on the 16th of March, then Hearts the 29th of March, and St Johnstone on the 6th of April. Should we get maximum points in those games, and I'm basing this on Rangers winning their other 2 out with their game, no guarantees of that, it would leave us 19 points ahead minimum with just 18 points to play. Do you think we'll wrap up against St Johnstone next month?
The latest, I don't see Rangers getting full points between now and then the other 2 games outside of us. Bet responsibly and all that, but anyone who wasn't on Motherwell on Saturday that likes a punt, you need to be mad.
22-1 I got Motherwell.
I've got other things going on, but it's been a good couple of weeks in terms of...
You're waiting on Fenerbahce for some good news, aren't you?
For some very good news. But just in terms of... I listened to the pre-match build-up on Sportsound and it was wild. It was like the return of the all-conquering hero. A total misread of the situation. The main reason I thought they would falter is, now I'm on record and this will be controversial for a Celtic podcast, is I quite like how Barry Ferguson speaks about the game. I don't think he's qualified for that job given his track record.
They're different jobs, aren't they?
Right?
Doing it in the
totally
media,
doing
it on any sort of stage.
Ask Gary Neville and many others.
Yeah.
But the real thing that kind of told me I should be looking to that game to put money on it is he was talking about he was going to ask players to do this, that and the next thing and more aggressive in the press and about 6 or 7 different things. And footballers are simple. Tell me 1 or 2 things, no more. Changing a full system that Clement was playing to this new one. You saw on Saturday, I think it was one of the wingers was arguing with the bench in terms of, I don't understand that instruction or I don't think that's the right instruction. And that just shows confusion on, you're asking me to play something too different. And given the short window, it's like 3 months, just keep it really simple. You've got better players than most of the rest of the league. Certainly, their wages should dictate their better players.
Yeah.
Just organise them simply, play positive football, and you should win more games than you lose. But they've just looked to revolutionise things. That's crazy.
I think so. I think just a steadying of the ship would have been the order of the day there, and it's a shame it didn't work out on Saturday. It was Armed Forces Day, it was Tav's 500th appearance and all that kind of stuff, but just came crashing down around them. I've not asked your general opinion on the appointment of the Dream Team. Obviously sat with Miff and Paddy last week and had a wee laugh about it, to be honest with you. But what do you make of it? Was it just a populist move by Patrick Stewart to put those guys in the job?
100%. I mean, you play junior football. How many times at the junior level do you see a team that's struggling and they go and get a guy that used to play for them as the goalie because the goalie's struggling, or a striker because the striker's struggling, and you end up with this kind of wrap around the team? But what's the point in that? Especially again with the 3-month window. It makes absolutely no sense other than, as Miff was saying, the staunch points, get the season ticket sold. The only reason Clermont was bagged is because the stadium was starting to empty, and they're thinking that can bring them back. And I think it did bring them back until Motherwell scored their second goal, and then it was all bets are off. Yeah,
I just wonder. I wonder how Rangers have got some decent players. I think Czerny's a good player. Fella Igaman.
It was Czerny. It was arguing with the bench.
Might be a good player. How do they respond to the shouting and bawling? I'd have loved to have seen half time on Saturday, 2-0 down at Ibrox in front of all the troops and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if they've just gone berserk at half time and just thrown boots around the room and gone old school. There was clips of them training last week, and someone made the comment, I bet that's what Walter used to do. And maybe it was, but there's reasons why methods of even like an Alex Ferguson or a Walter Smith and maybe Jose Mourinho, who they'll face this week, is kind of yesterday's man in football. Football has evolved and changed a lot, not just in the 16 years since Barry Ferguson left Ibrox, in the last 5 years, for example. And I think if you don't stay up to date with the latest methods and how the next generation of footballers respond, then you're going to get caught somewhere in the mix. And I just think it's a terrible appointment. I really thought it was laughable, and I don't see it working out. I wonder if the interim boss might lose his job before the end of the season.
Listen, Bomber.
We can look forward to that. Let's get back to Celtic and the Celtic goal machine. In terms of goals scored this season, phenomenal stuff. In the league alone, we've scored 87 goals in our 29 league games, an average of exactly 3 goals a game, not 3.2, not 2.8, exactly 3 goals a game. And in terms of the bigger picture, we've scored 124 goals for the season so far. That's those 87 league goals, 17 in the League Cup, 13 in the Champions League, and 7 so far in the Scottish Cup. And hopefully that run goes beyond Hibs at the weekend. We've still got 9 games to go, James, league-wise, and potentially 3 in the Scottish Cup. Are we going to reach 200 goals?
It's there, isn't it? It's not a team that looks like it wants to slow down. It's certainly not going to creep over the finishing line. They want to go out and score goals, win games, play with style. I think there's a real togetherness. What I thought was really interesting from the unique angles is when, can't remember, I think it was Yang's first goal. It's the subs are all around them. They're delighted for him. And Engels was out talking to the papers today about how happy everyone was for him because how hard he works.
Yeah.
But I think you're just seeing the togetherness and the effect of Brendan Rodgers on not just Yang, very much Yang, but Maeda for me he's doing things I never thought he was capable of.
Yeah.
Really.
We're just about to get to Maeda because someone made the comment, myself and Paddy, on the post-match yesterday, and we spoke glowingly, of course, about Yang and the improvements we've seen in him, but you can't discount the improvements in Maeda. And I think a huge part of that must go down to the coach. He's shown more composure. Paddy says he feels the finish has always been there from Maeda. I wasn't so sure. I think there's been some wayward stuff.
Ask James Tavernier.
Ask James, aye. But I think the erratic stuff has been less and less obvious in recent times. It's been great to see, and as I say, we'll get to it just shortly. I don't know what Celtic's highest season in terms of goals scored is in our history, but I'll try and find out, or if anyone's listening or watching, please do let us know. It'd be really interesting to hear that figure. The other side of it, not to add a negative slant, but we have conceded a few in recent games. We've conceded 6 in our last 4 games, which is a bit unlike us. We've been a team that's built up a reputation for clean sheets, particularly in the league in the season so far. I asked Paddy the question about why that might be happening. He's got a wee bit of subconscious complacency given that we're in touching distance of the league. But what do you think? Any particular reason for you?
I think you can isolate the 2 goals on Saturday.
First one you can do nothing.
One's an absolute screamer. The second one is, if he catches that clean, the goalie saves it all day. could have been closed down a bit better. If you want to look at the giving away with the free kick for Declan John, clumsy. But I think someone else was clumsy in front of him as well. He wasn't the only one,
Yeah, it was a bit messy. I also thought Schlupp should have stopped the cross coming in initially that led to the second goal. So there's things there. That might happen I think Schlupp's been great overall, but he's also new to the Celtic defence and maybe he's not full up to speed. I thought he had a good game on Saturday, but not fully up to speed. There can be mitigating factors. Is there anything that causes you concern in terms of the goals?
No, I mean, it's not, even if it was Ange stuff, I'll take 5-2 every single week.
Yeah, I'd love 5-2 every week. Yeah, it's been good to watch. Let's get to Maeda, and for want of repeating ourselves, I feel like we're doing this every week, except the stats just get a wee bit better every time we speak about it. At the moment, he has 25 goals and 9 assists for his 40 appearances this season. So what's that? 34 goal contributions in 40 games. Celtic played 8 times in February. Daizen Maeda had 13 goal contributions in February alone, 10 goals and 3 assists. Just frightening form. The only 2 games that he never scored in was a Dundee United 3-0 win on the 15th of February and Bayern Munich away on the 18th, but he did play a key part in the assist for Nicholas Kuhn. He's 27 years of age. He just turned 27 in October, and it looks like we are seeing him at his very best. It's the very best he's been at Celtic, and potentially he's either in or going into his peak years, and that's hugely exciting.
I think he's in his peak years, yeah. There's a maturity in him as well as a lot of the rest of the team. But it's the enjoyment he's got, when he's bringing these kids on and he's tweeting after these kids, after the game and stuff. That's a guy that's happy and settled where he's playing his football and the type of football he's playing, just smiling his face all the time. I think there's more to come, and it just points us back to this question of if you give us 2 years with this core team, now it's a really important part of our business model. If just listen to the start of your chat with David Lowe, the financial chat that's out now, it's a big part of the makeup of the numbers is that 1 or 2 players a year will go for big money, and that is Engels, Daizen, Kuhn, guys like that. And if we can avoid that for a couple of years, given that there's a big increase in Champions League money, we can avoid it for just 1 year and hold that team together, I think we can do something pretty special in Europe next year.
I think this is the biggest challenge, but also the biggest hope for Celtic right now, that we do keep these players. You've rhymed off a handful of them there, just in terms of the talent we've got. If we can add just 1, 2, maybe 3 bits of quality, and KT's coming in to be one of those bits of quality. If we can do that and keep this group together, periphery players will fall off. Nawrocki, Lagerbielke guy, Palma might move on permanently. Things like that. But if you can keep the guys that have done so well against Bayern Munich and generally done well throughout that Champions League campaign, it could be a hugely exciting time for Celtic next season.
Yeah, just raising, and it's not, sea change raising of the quality. It's just wee quarter turns. KT obviously is a class player, but Schlupp as well. If you go into that full tie with a match fit Schlupp and KT as your options at left back, that's a different game entirely. So if you just look at any other slight weaknesses in the team, where do we need to improve there? Left back is now certainly sorted for a first team pick, but I really want Schlupp as someone rotating with KT, because there's not going to be a first team left back with KT because he's just not going to play 50-60 games a season. So you're going to rotate that between himself and another, not as a reserve left back, but as your other left back that they share the load of. And obviously Schlupp's pretty versatile, can play a bit of wing. Somebody was suggesting for left centre half as well.
Not against it.
Which is the other main area of improvement required, But if you can raise those, and sad to say, but if Trusty was then your backup left centre half to an improved left centre half, you're starting to look across that back line and say, well, everything's pretty steady there. TCV's a worry, just injuries wise and fitness wise and stuff, but probably fine for another season. And then you're starting to look forward the rest of the pitch, and it's not bad. So I think that's the plan. If they can execute on the plan, is the key.
Imagine ending up with £6 million Austin Trusty as your backup. It's changed days, and then
£9 million Arne Engels on the bench.
Yeah, but that's the way it's got to be. And we'll get to Daizen Maeda in terms of his value, both in terms of what we paid for him and in terms of what he might go for, moving forward. But I like the model of bring in your Arne Engels for 11, Adam Maeda for 9, Jota for 8, a couple of Trusty for 6, whatever. Some will be absolute standouts, and I think Engels and Jota are the kind of 2 out of those 4 that I've mentioned that are real top draw. The other 2 might not quite be that shining light, but still effective in terms of the squad. And then you bring in a guy like Daizen Maeda, who joined Celtic under Ange in January 2022, initially on loan from Yokohama Marinos for £2 million. That's bargain of the century so far, isn't it?
Look at his return. And it's not like this season is a revelation. I think this season is a massive jump in his numbers, but he's been doing it consistently from day one. So you've had, value return from the moment he stepped onto the pitch. Just the numbers around that are ridiculous.
So, 2 questions. One, what kind of value would you put on him right now if someone comes in the summer? And I don't want to be that guy that's selling our players, but just to talk about it in terms of what he's worth. And secondly, are you surprised that as far as we know so far, nobody's come in with a big offer for him?
I think for the reasons that, their erraticness and stuff that's, been apparent over the years, as well as, still being phenomenal and being our first point of defence. I think that's the problem. A lot of teams can't really see that your, left winger is actually your first point of defence. And if they don't really play like that, then they can't really see some of the massive value we get from Daizen. But he's been as good an attacking player as he has been a defensive player since he came in. But now you're seeing why he plays through the middle for Japan.
Yeah.
And that means you've got levels of versatility in that. So if you need him on the wing, he's there. And we saw on Saturday, he rotated the two. If you need him in the centre, he's there. He can do that. He pins the right back in. Teams can't get out. Bayern Munich have found that out. So it's not like he's doing it against St Johnstone at home. He's doing it against Bayern Munich away. So not just surprised for the same reasons that I think he's had that development to go, and he's certainly achieved that under Rodgers. But now he's peak years. Did you ask me for a number?
Aye. What would it take? So he's tied up contract-wise. He's in a decent deal. We should be making him top man. I think we should give him a new deal if we can. Seems very content with life in Glasgow. But yeah, just say somebody, big hitter comes in the summer. What do you think? What kind of figure should we be looking for the 20 and 25s that we get for KT and O'Reilly's and stuff?
I think
for an international World Cup scoring player.
Yeah, I mean, you add a bit on, take a bit away in terms of you add on his versatility, his goal scoring, his international pedigree. You take a wee bit away for his age. He's not coachable to the next level. He's probably going to start being as coached as he's going to be, and then he's just going to keep banging in his form for another 4 or 5 years. So at 27, you're not going to get, I would say, 30 plus, but you're probably looking between 15 and 20, something like that.
Okay. Somebody made the comment a while ago, and I repeated it, that you speak of his versatility. I honestly think if there was a crisis and you had to start him at right back, he'd be the best right back in the league.
Yep.
He'd be absolutely right. Nobody's going to get past him. Put it that way. He's a phenomenal player, and I just think the evolution of Daizen Maeda has been really exciting to watch. Is he, just in your opinion, just to finish off here, let's take it back to when Ange brought him in, and to when Ange Postecoglou started at Celtic, right up to Saturday night there. Would you say he's the best value signing we've made? And there were some exciting players in there, with Juranovic and Abadas and Giacomakis.
Matt Riley's got to be in there as well.
Oh, so what was he, 1.5 million? Yeah, but they're up there, they're on a par in terms of just value. But the thing is as well, Celtic fans generally, and I've got to agree with this, care less about the bottom line, the financial numbers. It's about watching guys like him on a Saturday night. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think most fans do have a bit of an eye on that in terms of cycling the value. But as long as you're then going and replacing it. So if you're going to sell Matt O'Reilly for 30 million, that's okay if you sign Arne Engels for 11 million and then the cycle repeats. The fans get an issue with it when you go and sell someone for 25 KT and then absolutely bomb on the replacement.
Yeah.
They've never fixed that until Schlupp, It
looks like they're replacing KT with KT.
KT, I know.
Interesting model.
So just, I think, of course, that it's football first and foremost, and it's the joy that Daizen plays with and brings to the fans. But I think most Celtic fans do have an appreciation of where we are in the global world order of football and how we can, change the game in terms of we don't get the revenue of a Premier League or a La Liga, but we can start to replicate Porto and Bruges and Ajax and all these kind of teams and replace revenue that way. So it's part of the mix. Timing is always just the key, so you don't end up punting everyone and then kind of start from scratch. Ajax are actually probably quite guilty of that. They cycle where all the players, a bundle of players go in one summer, then you need to kind of start from scratch. Got to be more blended than that.
The timing is the big thing.
Here's me just telling Ajax how to run their football club.
I'm sure they're tuning in. You mentioned David Lowe, so I spoke to David a few days ago, and we put the episode live just last night, Sunday night. Very popular episode so far, lots of comments, lots of interest. As is always the case when David comes on, he comes at it from a different angle. He comes at it from financial and business, and given that he was Fergus's right-hand man during the takeover, he's well aware of transatlantic takeovers and what they look like, and he gave his comments on Celtic's current financials and what the future of Celtic might be, and should we increase the capacity and all sorts of stuff. Really interesting in general. But he was speaking about the player trading model, which has been hugely successful for Celtic for some time. And he spoke about players being in the sale zone. That was a term he used. And Kyogo was absolutely in the sale zone at 30 years of age and £10 million. We can absolutely debate the fact that Celtic should have brought someone in to replace him. I would maintain that. But in terms of getting offered that money for that type of player, Celtic generally sell at the right time. Not quite nailed it down in terms of buying at the right price and the right level, but I think we're getting there. And by and large, it's been pretty impressive recently. James, we're 20 odd minutes in, and I've not really focused on the youngster, and now is the time.
The rest of the episode?
Just Young watch for the next 40 odd minutes. So what about him? Top man on Saturday, comes in at 2 each, 2 goals, 1 assist to see Celtic through to the win. And what I really admire about Young, you spoke about how popular he seems in the dressing room. Arne Engels talking about his work rate, and just he's got a likeability about him, I would say. And I don't know if you've seen any of his interviews. He's very humble, very kind of grounded young lad. But that aside, it's all good being a nice wee guy and all that stuff. You need to have a strong mentality. And I think he's faced criticism, rightly so at times. He's struggled at times in a Celtic shirt, but he just seems to have worked his way through it. He's knuckled down and he's got on with that, and he's made those appearances, and now he's finding that consistency. Someone in the comments yesterday when we done the post-match said he's now expecting Young to do something every time he takes to the park. Again, I'll ask a question that I asked Paddy. How much of it do you put down to the manager and how much to the player himself?
I think mental toughness comes from yourself. Manager can't really coach that into you. So he's always shown, even when he's been having a poor game, he doesn't hide. He doesn't, start to, give the ball to others. He will take it on. So I think he's always had that mental toughness. I think it's probably more technique and game awareness and tactical awareness that's been coached into him. He doesn't need to do everything at once. He's got talented feet. His goal against Aberdeen was all about his feet and moving through that defence with 1-2s here and there, and the vision to put it near post as well. Very smart. So he's for me, he's always had base talent. It was a matter of getting it out of him, and it's maybe just Rodgers telling him not to overthink it and just play to the talent you've got. But I think the mental toughness is him. Yeah,
I wonder if it's the same kind of coaching that the manager would give to Maeda. Maeda's calmness in front of goal and assuredness and just, as I say, the erratic stuff seems to be drifting away from Maeda's game. I wonder if it's similar messaging that's gone to Young, because at the end of the day, the best coach in the world, whoever it may be, Rodgers, Peps, all these guys, Jurgen Klopp's, you can't coach it if it's not there in the first place. You can approach it and give the advice, but if that player doesn't have that base ability, as you call it, then you can't really do much about it. But Young, the reason I got on the Young bus so early is because I seen that he had it. This is how I kind of make my judgments, whether it's him or Adam Maeda. The evidence is there that they can do it, but they hadn't been doing it consistently, and that's why there's been frustration, and I accept those frustrations, and I'm equally frustrated at times because Young, it's almost become cliche now, but he was doing so well last season until that wrong sending off, John Beaton inspired, against Hearts. But he'd been playing really well, exciting, pacey, attacking front foot football. And then that went away for quite a long time, and it's taken him up until fairly recently to recapture that for him. But I held on to the fact that we've seen that he could do it, so therefore that can be replicated. That doesn't just disappear after a spell of bad form. Every player, the best players throughout a whole career, Henrik Larsson, etc., will have spells where it's just not going for them. And I think that is wholly acceptable for a 21-year-old from South Korea, finding himself halfway across the world, in and out the team, facing up to far better wingers than him, more talented guys, Kuhns and now Jota's and Maeda's, guys that were absolute first picks. It's been hard to break into that, but behind the scenes he's clearly been patient, worked hard, taken the manager's advice, and taking that on. And as I say, that's where I'm at. We've seen that he could do it, and I'm just so delighted for him that he now seems to be doing it again on a more regular basis.
I mean, obviously just delighted for him, but the main thing for me, beyond his talent, and maybe even more important than his talent, because we can see raw talent. You don't get anywhere near Celtic without raw talent. If you're getting signed for Celtic, you've got some level of talent that we want to see. But for me, beyond that, and I'm going to have to bring your old pal Mikey Johnston into this.
Miguel.
Mikey Johnston has talent in spades. I don't know how coachable he is. Coachability is the key thing. Probably not just in football, in any walk in life. If you're looking to improve in your career or anything, be coachable, have coachability. And I think Yang's got it. He's taking the messages on board and he's deploying them. When he's getting his chances, he's taking the message and he's getting the training on the training pitch and taking it into games and showing us what he can do. I don't know if that was the case with Mikey. I always felt it was just a wee bit of, obviously self-belief is a big thing for a winger, but I think it tipped over into arrogance sometimes.
Maybe there's a balance there. I was hugely fond of Mikey Johnston, and I hope he's continuing to do well down at West Brom, but I wonder if part of the Celtic shirt weighing heavy and the history and all that kind of stuff was too much for him. But yeah, I think winger is such a unique position in terms of that as well, because there's such a huge expectation every time a winger gets the ball. Teams in general will be set up to keep it tight at the back, work your way through the lines, get it into the midfield, and ultimately get it to your wide guys to then go and make things happen. So how often are you watching a game and then it goes to Jota or Maeda or Kuhn or now Yang, and you're going, right, let's see.
Yeah.
And if nothing happens, that's when the great disappointment sets in. And that was where we got to at times with Mikey Johnston, and certainly at times relatively recently with Yang. But now all of these guys are getting it, and you're getting a wee bit up on your feet or towards the edge of your seat because things are happening. And the big thing for Yang was turning what was undoubtedly ability and good feet and strength and pace and trickery into end products. And end products in football are goals and assists. If you look at his stats now, if you jump onto something like Flash Score or whatever and look at the player, if you look down recent games, it's just goals, goal, assist, goal. Like
4 and 3.
4 goals and 3
League.
And a bundle of assists and various other things into the mix. There's a stat that came out from Josh McCaffrey. Josh has been on the show here. Josh, in general, used to focus on Celtic youth players and academy players and some different things. But he's an account worth following. He knows his stuff. And he said that Yang has now had a goal or an assist every 55 minutes in 2025. This calendar year, we're now in March. And that's quite something. Someone else on Twitter said he's the best header of a ball that Celtic have had since Billy McNeil. Don't know if that's stretching a wee bit. But he's got talent, and I do think it's quite unique. He has a good header of the ball, as Saturday showed, which is quite unique for a winger.
He's 6 feet. He's no wee.
Is he?
Yep.
And I see that he's strong and powerful. I didn't realise he was 6 feet. But he's got everything.
Yep.
He's going to the very top.
Yep.
But the main thing for him, whether it's headed goals or assists or whatever else, the consistency is key. And he's in a great position just now. He should be high as a kite, full of confidence. But at Celtic, as we know, it's all about what's next. So what does Yang now do on Sunday against Hibs and on the 16th of March against Rangers and beyond? That's the key to it.
Yeah, I mean, as we've seen across the river, doing things over a short period of time, some fans think that's it, you've made it. Consistency is the key.
Conor Barron, anyone?
I don't even know if he plays football anymore, does he? Does he get picked?
He's just a squad player.
Aye. So himself or Nsalia or Igmani, it's all these things. They'll have good games and then just absolutely drift out of the picture. And I don't see that for Yang, but if you're asking what his job now is to take what he's achieved as the baseline and deliver that week on week. So no dips, no weeks where it just didn't happen for him. It's got to happen for him every game now to show that this isn't just something that it's flash in the pan. He can deliver it. He's got the mentality to deliver it consistently.
Yeah. I think there's an excitement now from fans in it. I'll maintain, lots of fans weren't big on Yang recently, but I don't think there's anyone that's not enjoyed what he's now doing. And that's what it's all about, giving your opinions. Some players are rated, some aren't, but I think everyone just enjoys seeing a Celtic player do well. And I think a lot of folks got a buzz out of what he done on Saturday, but no more so than the player himself. So great to see that, and hopefully he can kick on starting against Hibs on Sunday. James, we reached out to the Celtic Exchange WhatsApp group for some questions this week, and if you want to get involved in the WhatsApp group, then simply click the link in the show notes for this episode to become part of our growing community there. The first question, James, comes from Ryan. He says, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this because I've debated it back and forth, is a strong Rangers better for Scottish football in general, and overall, would it be better for Celtic? Would you prefer things to be neck and neck each season, or would you rather see us just run away with it every single year? What do you think?
After 10 in a row.
Get the 10 first.
Get the 10, then you can come back. No, I've been flipping there. I think it is, it's a rising tide thing, they can push us on. But I suppose maybe that question is more for 4 or 5 years ago. I think Celtic changed their focus in the last 2-3 years to say, well, they're not going to be anywhere near it. They're not going to push us. We've now got to start turning our focus towards Europe, which is what the fans have been looking for maybe the last 10 years. You can see that in the calibre of player that's coming in, the type of manager we've got, the type of football we're playing. So our focus is now away from Rangers, and we're raising our game based on the teams we're playing in the Champions League. So I don't think we need that spur that a strong Rangers would have given us 4 or 5 years ago, because we're far and away from that. For Scottish football, yes, absolutely. It's coefficient points, it's national team, it's trading players up to bigger teams, all these things. It's a good thing. But no team out of Ibrox has turned a profit since the 80s. So there's a lot of work to be done in terms of turning that around. They don't have the size that we have.
Yeah, again, just going back to the David Lowe chat, so he gave his insight into what the ramifications of any potential takeover by the 49ers group might look like. And as we know, through financial fair play type rules, you can't just come in and throw the kitchen sink at it the way that Man City done not that long ago. But what he does feel is it would get them on a far sounder footing just in terms of their infrastructure, stadium stuff, marketing, etc., which in turn should increase profit margins and eventually let them sign a better calibre of players. So that is what it is. I don't think any Celtic fans are particularly fearful of what this looks like. I think Rangers Twitter and the likes has gone mad. Oh, the Rangers are coming again. Wait, to see next year or the whenever, right? But I do think, I asked David the specific question, is a strong Rangers good for Celtic? And he says absolutely. Just in terms of competition and just given that focus, I'm not sure I'm paraphrasing here, but the Celtic have had it too easy for too long. That said, the other side of that might be that we don't have a strong Rangers right now, and we were minutes away from taking Bayern Munich to extra time. So
that's what I mean. The argument of we've set our targets elsewhere.
Yeah, so there's a wee bit of that. But I do think if you're playing a better Rangers and a better opposition in general in Scottish football on a more regular basis, you're sharp, you're focused, you're switched on. It might make it more exciting for the players that come here. You don't want a procession to the title every season. And we do remember the Ronnie Dyla days where you've had large sections of the stand not taken up. And at the moment, going to Celtic Park is a buzz, whether you're playing Wraith Rovers or whoever, anybody in the league, Dundee, teams that are struggling, generally speaking. It's really exciting, not because of the opposition, but because of what Celtic are bringing. You're so excited to see, let's see Jota back. Let's see what Nicholas Kuhn's doing this week, Arne Engels stepping up, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of heroes in this Celtic team and a lot of guys to get excited about. So you can see both sides of the argument. I would generally sway towards, though, competition generally in competitive sports got to be a healthy thing.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think it would be on a week-to-week basis that would make it more exciting, because then you're more watching the Rangers result for your betting slip than anything else. A title challenge, But, in years past, it's right, we go to Parkhead and watch your game, and then you're constantly checking what's the score, what's Rangers scored, or they play the next day, and you're watching that game to see if we can kind of stretch ahead of them in these things. I wouldn't say that's the case this season, but it's not a million years ago it was, under Ange and stuff like that. So, and it is exciting. I mean, that buzz of Leila Bada scoring against the D United after Rangers draw points to Ross County, and was that 2021,
22 season?
Yeah, which meant we could beat Rangers if we beat Rangers at Parkhead in the midweek, which was the all Celtic fans under the floodlights. Yeah, probably most fans' top 5 game of all time.
Easy,
and that was when things were a bit more competitive because we were restructuring, we're rebuilding the team, but we were behind the 8 ball because of our own mistakes, and Ange had come in and was just putting things back together. So yeah, but that was a buzz, and winning that title was some buzz. So was winning the last few titles as well, but that was more of a buzz than the more recent ones. So yeah, competition does add that.
Yeah, it makes it enjoyable. So good question from Ryan. Ryan's a huge part of the group, and thanks to him for that one. Moving on to next one. Next one comes from Michael Mills, and just a quick thanks to Michael, who's just become a member today, I think it was, of the Celtic Exchange Plus. So Michael can now enjoy completely ad-free listening, early access to this weekly show, and various other benefits. Check out the Celtic Exchange Plus and the link in the show notes for the episode. Michael says, did taking Callum McGregor off on Saturday see our play speed up, or was it more of a case of St Mirren slowing down? Michael feels that when he went off, we got forward much quicker with the likes of Arne Engels, Rio Hatate and Luke McCowan forming that midfield three. What do you think?
I think he's right in terms of, did it happen? It happened. There's the why it happened. St Mirren really been flagging. We've been
Mandron
working really hard.
Mandron was effective for them. He had to go.
Great out ball for them. So there's a bit of that. But I do take the point. I think there's more dynamism. We've seen Arne Engels fill in a couple of times in the six, and I just think he's a phenomenal footballer wherever he plays. But he's got such an awareness and interchangeability when he's not rooted in the six. If he sees an opportunity and McCown drops back in and covers for him, lets him go, it's maybe just that. There's when McGregor's in the six, by and large he's in the six until he's got a chance to maybe break forward and get a shot and goal. It would be very harsh to just say, oh well, it's because McGregor's
out
tailing. Exactly. The big thing for McGregor is if you start to, and there'll come a time in every footballer's life where you're playing the Tom Boyd role, where you're club captain but you're not necessarily playing every week, and that'll come from McGregor in time. I don't think it's there yet, but you need to be very careful on what you gain on the young legs and the football dynamism versus losing the captaincy and the leadership aspects that McGregor gives you. So that's got to be filled before you start thinking down that road.
Yeah, and he's 32 in summer, I think, so there must be succession planning. It is something that Celtic have had mixed success with.
That's the big signing. That's the summer signing.
Yeah, so I think we need to be careful at what that looks like. And Paddy made the point about the midfield three on Saturday after McGregor went off. There just seemed to be a bit more fluidity about it, and that any one of the three, whether it was Hatate, Engels or McCowan, could slot back into the six. They were capable there. That's that kind of quarterback role in football where you're dictating play, you're breaking it up and moving on, break it up and move on. And I think all those players, they're just tidy footballers, and I think they were all happy when required to be that guy and let the other two be more advanced and to switch that up. So no, I mean, and it's not to be dismissive of a Callum McGregor who was phenomenal in the Allianz Arena just a couple of weeks ago against some of the top midfielders in the world, and that's not me getting excited about it. They are top players, and he looked every bit the Champions League player on that environment. He's still got a huge deal of quality to offer Celtic, but I do think we need to work with him, and the player would maybe concede that himself if he was being really honest, that he needs the break a wee bit more. And at times in Europe, if Arne Engels or someone is supporting him rather than leaving him in the six on his own, then he can be a far more effective player. But a guy that's got so much to offer Celtic moving forward in addition to everything he's brought to the party so far. But again, another good question to Michael, and thanks again for him being on board at the Celtic Exchange Plus. Final question, and I'm paraphrasing a wee bit, it's come in from a couple of different members of the group. Paul Quinn, who we met briefly on Saturday, good to meet Paul, and Mark, and they have said that we all know that KT is on the way back, but is it the guy on the other side of our defence, Alistair Johnston, that will be the next Celtic captain? What do you think?
Oh, I thought he was going to go another way. I think there's.
What did you think we were going to go?
We'll get offers for Johnston, 100%.
Yeah, well, that was chatted about as well in the group.
And Paddy's been aware of that since Ange left, actually. He thought Ange would come in for him.
Somebody's credited Inter with an interest in him.
Aye, I think he's a phenomenal player. I've liked him since he came in, but he's another one that is just came in on a high level and is just leaps and bounds better than where he was from that high line. Captain, yeah, he's got captain material all over him. You see, what's the unique angle?
Yes, I was going to
it's Johnston.
Yeah,
he's always there, and he's a hype man.
As whether he's got the armband or not, he's playing a captain's role. Yeah. He's walking up, he high fives the goal scorer. He's a wee word with somebody. He speaks to somebody at the back of the group. He's just a leader. He's clearly a natural leader.
Yeah, it's just innate to him. So this is where you get to a real team, is when you start to look around. And in the COVID season, that's when you're looking at your team going, geez, where's the captains?
Where's the leaders?
Yeah. So just to give him his due, I think Greg Taylor is a captain type. CCV is, Johnston is, McGregor obviously is, Engels is, Casper is.
Daizen Maeda, isn't he? He's everything else, but he's not a captain.
Needs a day off someday, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's doing his own thing.
But yeah, if you've got, and it typically is, certainly 3+. But if you're looking at 4, 5, 6 guys that could take the armband, then you're going to have a really strong team. And I think we've got that now, and it's going to grow.
Yeah, we talk at various points about that Martin O'Neill side and how good they were at the turn of the century and Seville and everything that comes with it. But what made it so successful, a huge part, was the leaders everywhere. In addition to guys like Neil Lennon, Paul Lambert, Johan Mjallby, Larson himself, Sutton,
McNamara,
various other guys. Who actually was the captain of that team? McNamara and Lambert, maybe.
Lambert.
So many guys that had that quality about them, and that rubs off on the rest of the guys around. And I think Celtic are getting towards that again, and I think that plays a huge part in the ongoing success. So just specifically then, if we've got a game next season, Calmac gets taken off in the 60-minute mark, he takes off the band, got Alistair Johnston over there, he's got KT. Where's he going?
KT.
I think we would love to see it. I wonder if, it's not a move to be made in summer. Callum McGregor is and will remain the Celtic captain, at least into next season and potentially beyond. But I think I'm picturing it in my mind's eye now, seeing KT with that banner, that armband, would be a joy to behold, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been so much going on in the last just 2 months, 2.5 months or whatever kind of thing, that, you've never really properly, for want of a better expression, grieved Kyogo leaving, because there's been so much going on in Europe and all that stuff. The fact that we've confirmed KT, and it's because the club kind of just drifted out in a bottom into a
statement,
PR statement.
Yeah.
And those are 2 significant events. But yeah, to really focus on the KT side of things, having Kieran Tierney back at Celtic Park, more mature, and a better team as well. I think I think that's undoubtable, a better team who's a team that's flying and starting to show their mark in Europe. It's just massive.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and we'll put much more focus on that as we start to get towards certainly the end of this season, if not looking ahead to next season and what it might bring. In the meantime, big thanks then to Paul Quinn, to Mark, to Michael Mills and to Ryan and everyone in the WhatsApp community. There are some brilliant questions and great interaction. If you do want to be a part of that, as I say, just click the link in the show notes to do so. To wrap things up, James, we're going to take just a short look at that Hibs game on Sunday. We'll do a more focused preview on Friday. We'll do the countdown to kick-off show then. But they are a side that continue to impress under David Gray. They're now 15 games unbeaten. The 2-1 win over Hearts and Edinburgh Derby was hugely impressive yesterday. And what I like about this upcoming fixture is there's going to be 7,000 fans in attendance at Celtic Park. It could be set for a really crackling atmosphere and a really decent game of football. You'd say they're the 2 form sides in the country.
Most importantly, I'm going to be there.
You going?
Protest is over temporarily.
I can't make it. Are you taking my ticket?
No.
Should we have this chat off air?
Good friend Billy Morgan he can't make it. Yeah. He's up for the Derby the week after. So
Billy's loss is your gain.
Yep. So I'll be there, and I think the 7,000 fans is a big part of it. And what I really like as well is Hibs took the risk on it. Hibs said we'll take the tickets, and it's our problem.
Yes.
As in we've paid for them, and it's our job to shift them. But if you're a Hibs fan at all, with the way they're going and back-to-back Derby wins, I think in the first time in a long time, or maybe undefeated. And I watched their game yesterday. I thought they were really good, energetic. For me, they've been timid to Hearts in the last number of years.
Regardless of the form, Hearts were always winning that game for a long time.
That timidity is gone. I really like David Gray. Early in the season, I said it in the podcast early in the season, I felt really bad that he'd come and taken the job because it was a basket case. And it looked like it was only going to go one way. I mean, I think it was Hibs and Hearts sitting 10th and 11th at one point. And it looked like it wasn't going to work out. But to be fair to the Hibs owners, Hibs board, they've stuck with him. They've been patient with him. And he's got his message across. And he's got a few signings around. And they're starting to deliver. They're just really good, energetic, positive football. And it's well lined up for a great tie, certainly.
I admire the resolve of the Hibs board to stick with him, because I remember covering a game, I presume it was before a previous Celtic Hibs game, and I said he was a goner.
Yep,
and I was looking at his results and the way he was going. I says, that's just not changing. That's done. That ship has sailed, and it's just a matter of time before he loses his job. What do I know? Because a 15-game unbeaten run, that's just not something Hibs do, and generally have done at any point, certainly in modern history. I think it'll be a long time since Hibs, I don't know if Hibs have ever gone 15 games unbeaten. Maybe I'm being dismissive there, but that is very impressive, and I think they continue to impress with each and every game, and the confidence will be there. And now the bigger challenge for the Hibs board might be keeping a hold of a David Gray. who's shown some resilience and turned things around and got a team performing.
Yeah, because the problem will be, though, what he's getting paid at Hibs versus someone, middle to top championship. For a guy who's been a captain and a winner and has shown how to turn a team around, that's hot property stuff. And that's, talking a wee bit like, just touching on Scottish football as a whole earlier on, if it was a stronger Rangers. Part of it is holding on to managers like that are shown, real progress in their own development, their own career, and you don't lose those guys down to a championship. But at the same time, if he's on $4 or $5 grand a week, or something like that, I'd be totally guessing.
No idea.
Right? But say it as that, right? And someone's going to give him 20. He's got to look after himself and his family and take that.
Of course.
So what can Hibs do in terms of getting close to that, or giving them 15-game unbeaten bonuses, or whatever it may be, finding other ways to bring in revenue? And this then obviously points back to the administrators of Scottish football, who are a shambles and should be out of their jobs because they've got no commercial idea at all about what to do. They could have better TV deals, better sponsorship deals, better organisation, better pitching of the game. And that then allows you to, allows Hibs to pay David Gray a bit more money, or certainly the same money we'd get for a championship team. He's the guy that's given me my favourite game of football, favourite day of football outside of Celtic, so I want to see him stay around.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of David. But the life of a manager is a fragile one, and you're only 3 defeats on the spin from losing your job. That's how quickly things can change. But the moment he's in a good place, Hibs are in a good place, and they will come to Celtic as confident as a team that's just beaten Hibs in the derby and beaten us just a couple of weeks back. They'll be feeling particularly good. When the draw came up, I think it was Marvin Bartley, former Hibs player, that commented on Twitter. He went, anybody but Celtic at Parkhead would have been delighted with. Yeah. It's the toughest tie they could get, but they're as good a position they could be. But from a Celtic point of view, with that defeat, that 2-1 defeat at Easter Road so fresh in the memory, I think we've seen Brendan Rodgers respond in different ways. When Aberdeen drew 2 each at Celtic Park this season, Brendan Rodgers was annoyed by it, and we take 6 off them at Hampden in the Cup semi not long after. Do you see something like that happen, or will it be a keenly fought contest? Do you have worries that we won't progress? Where are you at?
It'll be keenly fought, but context is key. We're coming off the back of a real hangover from Bayern, and I said in the pre-match, the guys that came in, McCowan, Taylor, Ida, they were getting pelters and they were all subbed off at half time, and it was the guys around them that were causing the environment that they couldn't play in. Not that they were playing well themselves, but there was no environment to succeed in. That doesn't exist when you've come off the back of hammering goals against Aberdeen, hammering goals against St Mirren. You're at home, you're online for a treble. So the motivation will all be there. The cobwebs of Bayern Munich are long since gone, so totally different context. But the atmosphere is going to be just bouncing with Hibs there. The run they're on, the derby defeat in their pocket. It's going to be a phenomenal game. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's a big one to look forward to. As I say, we'll have the full preview out on Friday ahead of Sunday's kick-off. It's 3 o'clock at Celtic Park on Sunday. Just to finish though, it's not arrogant to say that Celtic are 6 games from the treble. It's just factual. You win your 3 league games, including the Rangers game on the 16th. You win a 4th successive title, and if you then win 3 games in the Scottish Cup, hopefully starting with this Hibs game on Sunday, and then a semi-final and a final, whatever they look like, that's it. So all of a sudden, something that the players maybe dare not have spoken about in the early half of the season or even before the turn of the calendar year, you can't not be talking about it now. There's got to be 6 games, though. It's not like 20 games to the treble. 6 games is not a lot.
I don't know if the players are talking about that. I think they're just saying we need to beat Hibs the weekend, and then we need to beat whoever it is in the league, and then we need to beat Rangers in the league, and then
Alistair Johnston's talking about it.
Probably. He's the heat man, like I say. No, I don't think they are talking about it. I think they're just getting the job done. Yeah,
some really exciting stuff going on in general. And Sunday, another huge game to look forward to. So as I say, we'll bring you the preview for that on Friday. James, a varied show, quite a lot covered, quite a lot of kind of different things. Thanks again to the WhatsApp group for the questions and the various discussion points. But as we head into another big week, big game in the context of the season, your final comments for the week?
Yeah, just it's always a nice part of the season when you've had really intense weeks of football, and it's just about getting to this point where you can now see what's in front of you from a fan's point of view, and I suppose the player and the manager as well. They can see the job to be done, and it is just like you say, those 6 games takes you there. So we know exactly what we need to do. There is just nothing but positivity around Celtic. Things are improving across the board. We want to see what's happening in the background in terms of the summer window and making moves there, hopefully retaining players as well as augmenting the squad with other players. But it's a very, very positive place to be, and I just want to see Celtic move from a positive place and see what's next. Is it stadium overhaul? Is it those shifting up the gears in terms of players? But yeah, it's always good to be a Celtic fan, but never more so than now.
It just feels like we are on the up and up, on and off the park, and that's not always the case at Celtic, and it's not always been the case, certainly in our Celtic supporting lifetime. So long may that continue. Starting on Sunday against Hibs, and we'll see everything else that goes beyond that. That wraps things up on this latest episode of the Celtic Exchange Weekly. Thanks to James for joining me for this one, and thanks to you for tuning in. We'll be back on Friday with the preview show ahead of the quarter-final with Hibs on Sunday. In the meantime, we do have a couple of special episodes to keep you entertained. I'd mentioned the David Lowe episode. That is available now. It's titled Phenomenal Financials, Transatlantic Takeovers and the Future of Celtic. As I say, really popular. You can get that now wherever you listen. The other show we'll be doing is on Wednesday of this week, and I spoke to Joe Mackin. Joe's a huge part of the Kano Foundation. The Kano Foundation, as everyone knows, are a hugely important and amazing part of what Celtic are, and it's well worth tuning in. Joe talks about what they do and a big event that they've got coming up next month at the Armadillo. And finally, don't forget to check out the Celtic Exchange Plus. If you want to enjoy ad-free listening for every episode, early access to this Celtic Exchange Weekly show on a Monday night, and various other benefits, there's links to all of that in the show notes. But until next time, have a brilliant week. We'll see you all again really soon.